It's loading again. It takes a minute.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, oh. So today I want to go back to a review that I do at least once a year.
Yes. All right. Oh, and Trees. Hi,
Yeah,
Trees.
Trace.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Green trees.
So
Morning.
This doesn't work.
Okay, somebody's.
uh, uh, yeah. So this is a poem entitled "A Ritual to be Read to Each Other," and
I'm going to silence everybody.
when the Buddha was asked how important the Sangha is to our spiritual growth, he said the Sangha is our spiritual growth. That we go into solitude, but we go into solitude to really discover that's not going to work.
Come here. Come here, Betty.
To really discover who we are and to begin to unlayer the various defenses that we built up. I had a parishioner of mine in Chicago who wrote this poem called Masks. And it really points to the problem of having a personality. The word for persona means a mask. So it's impossible for us in our social interactions not to wear a mask. But the question is, how do we use the mask? So she did a beautiful job of describing the two ways that masks can operate. She starts with, I wear many masks. My life is fragmented, like a shattered glass. I wear the mask of one fragment to hide the others, and I leap from fragment to fragment, from mask to mask, hiding and broken. So this is the first way that we use masks. By the time we are 7 years old, we have already spread ourselves into a public self and a private self. And the dividing line between those two selves is generally shame and fear. When we show an aspect of who we are as children and it's socially unacceptable, we're shamed into revealing that part. And so most of us, when we become socialized and develop this social self, go for being people pleasers. And so we show the desirable aspects of our personality. We take care of other people. We're generous, we're compassionate, we're understanding. But that's a mask that actually covers up things like I'm angry, I'm empty. Most of us will not admit that we have needs. And we use rationalizations like, well, I don't want to burden other people, blah, de, blah. Uh, and what really is behind that is a fear of being seen and being known deeply. Now, others of us wear a negative mask. And we use a negative mask in order to get attention because the rule as a kid is better negative attention than no attention at all. And so we find that by being needy, that people rush and give us attention. That by being angry, that's in the workplace very effective. You get angry, you complain a lot, you get promotions, you get raises, and the nice little people pleaser who always shows up, does their job quietly, gets overlooked. Because again, our brain looks for the negative and we pay attention to angry people way more than we should. And so we begin to use our masks to manipulate the world, to get attention. And Alfred Adler said, a child who isn't loved for themselves becomes an attention junkie. And our primary addiction is to getting attention. If I don't get positive attention, I'll go and I'll get negative attention. Now, some of us try both those strategies and we don't get any attention at all, no matter what we do, kind of like the lost child. This will very quickly put us into dorsal, to be kind of used to no attention, never wanting to draw attention to ourselves, fading into the background, not having any presence. Energy is so constricted and so pulled back behind that wall. So most of us aren't even aware. At first, we're aware that we're hiding these aspects of ourselves, and um, that's repression. But it gets to be suppression when we no longer are aware that we're angry. We're no longer aware that we're afraid. We're no longer aware that we're lonely. Such a deep level of denial of our internal reality. And that's where I was when I came into therapy. I would not recognize sadness. I could not recognize fear, loneliness. I had anger down. Anger was my primary go-to emotion. So part of the spiritual journey is to begin to bring together, you know, the if we're positive intention to see the negative, so-called negative, socially unacceptable parts of ourselves. If we're used to being victim, for example, when I was in Haight-Ashbury, the Bank of America said we generally have 5 or 6 people open accounts at $2,000 or more, and then go on the street and panhandle. And you find, for example, I had one guy in a treatment center. He said, um, I'm a total loser. He said, I dealt drugs. I got people strung out. I stole money from my parents. I was in a car wreck that killed my best friend. I'm a paraplegic. I've got nothing to offer anybody. So the group said, go and ask the group to tell you some of the positive things that they see about you. He came back the next week and said, well, they told me that I was good looking. They told me that I was a good listener. They told me that I grasped things quickly and that I had natural leadership skills. I said, is there any part of you that can own that, that can see that? So sometimes the journey of self-discovery, as Marianne Williamson says, is unmasking our brilliance, really letting our light shine. So you can begin to see that this process of being fragmented means that we're a mystery to ourselves. We don't understand what motivates us because we repress parts until they come out and we go, oh, that's not me. And then we go back to repressing it. And all of this is just keeping our energy stifled. So what we're moving towards in our meditation is you begin to see what begins to arise in all its complexity and all its messiness. In AA, fourth step, we take a searching and fearless moral inventory. And I tell people, if you do an honest inventory, you will have both ends of every opposite in your personality. Are you generous? Yes. Are you stingy? Yes. Are you open-minded? Yes. Are you opinionated? Yes. Are you honest? Yes. Do you lie? Yes. In other words, saying yes to every aspect of the complexity of our humanity is what the spiritual process involves. And having people that are safe enough to begin to allow us, not shame us anymore, not because remember, what creates the boundary line between my private and my public self is fear and shame. And the minute that we begin becoming authentic, instead of feeling liberated, we feel shame. Instead of feeling liberated, we feel fear, okay? And that leads us again to begin to withdraw. Well, no, that means you're actually being successful. So that's why it's so important to have the guide and the support of a community that begins to encourage us, give us the safety to begin to reveal that authentic self. Now, here's where the she went with this. She says, I wear many masks. My life has many facets. See, instead of fragments, she has facets. Like a cut diamond, and I wear the mask of one facet to express it fully. And this is the key. I move from facet to facet, from mask to mask, shining and whole. I wear many masks. So your persona, your mask, can also reveal. But there has to be a congruence between the mask you're wearing and the energy that you're projecting through it. And this authenticity is so essential to genuine community. They did a study on what emotions elicited the strongest feeling of wanting to connect with another person. And you would think that when someone was expressing love and compassion, that you go, oh, I really want to be with this person. No, it's authenticity. It's 40 times more powerful attractor to be with someone whose energy is congruent with their words and their facial expressions and their body language. And how rare is that kind of union?
Showing up.
Yeah, showing up is real. So and I'm sure you felt this because people report over and over, I can't wait to get together with the Sangha. But this is pointing us to what's at the core of that. Now, the interesting thing is self begins to merge in a very different way here. And that is that instead of being something that you can put on a piece of paper, because everything you can put on the paper, remember, words divide, all right? But when you begin to get all these people into the same room, and you begin to look at the light that's being expressed through it, the spirit, the energy, then you begin to get integrity. You begin to integrate it, and you don't have to force that, all right? So it's like balancing. And you've got these two aspects of your personality. Sometimes you're over here, sometimes you're over here. But it's the constant flow between these different states, opening up so that the energy, instead of being stuck. And there was a Marcel Marceau skit that he did where he was a mime digging through a bag of masks and putting them on. And so he's got an astonished mask, and then he's got a sad mask, and he's got an angry mask, and a playful mask, and a stern mask. And then he goes to get the happy mask off, and he can't get the happy mask off. And his body language was absolutely suffocating, and his face was so happy and this and trying to get the goddamn thing off because I have more. There's more of me. This and he can't get the mask off. And a lot of us feel that. We feel stuck. All right. So that's why when we say give up asking the question, who am I? They consider it an unanswerable question, like what's the weather? Predict the weather accurately for 3 months out. You can't say what's going to happen that day. You can't say who you're going to be. And so putting the question differently, not trying to define who I am, but to gain an intimacy with who I am, an authenticity, an open-mindedness, a softness, a receptivity toward myself, okay, and towards others, an invitation to say, allow yourself to be authentic. The more we're authentic with each other, the more we set each other free. There's no need to hide, okay? As Rumi has a wonderful poem. He says, everyone's scandalous flaw is mine. Another person said, I spurn nothing human. I spurn nothing human. Now again, you can't get to this place rationally. You can't force yourself to stay open to things you've been taught to be repelled by or are naturally repelled by. but you can learn to overcome that initial negative response, just like you overcome the negative response to your pain. So over and over again, it's the same process. Now we're turning this opening, this softening towards ourself, which is what compassion is. When you're ventral, you don't doubt your worth. You can see the worth in every aspect of things. So you become like the poet Rilke. I love my dark nights. I love my anguish. I love my pain. I love sitting in that as much as I love sitting in my joy. There's an energy in that once you open to it, it becomes extremely rich. And I think we much more fully feel close to other people through their pain.
It's the common humanity.
It's our common humanity, our shared pain is what we call it. So being in the song is a tremendous privilege, and I think we feel that. I'm not lecturing that you should feel that. I know you feel that. I'm just saying, now let's explore it. In the silence we're going to enter into, so many people loved the silence last week. I'm going to extend the invitation uh, to really open up to everything you're watching in yourself. Notice any contractions, any aspects of yourself that you struggle with or that you start trying to fix, or I have thoughts that will literally, I can feel myself just immediately want to get away from that. I don't thought about something I did in the past. And that's an immediate sign. Pull it out, unpack it, take a look at it. Um, let's redo this thing on the cushion. So today what we'll do is we'll go into the meditation, and I'll ring the chime every 5 minutes just to call you back in case you drifted off. We've got enough advanced meditators here that you know what to do. So I'm going to turn it over to the head monk to gong us in. righty. Gina, could you tilt your computer a little bit down? Because you're really like a little row of peas sitting on the bottom of the screen. There you are.
Okay.
Hey, guys. All right, questions, comments?
I've been practicing just watching the judgment, and just not judging the judgment, just all the thoughts and feelings or my energy level being low or something, judging that and all the storylines, letting go of the storylines can be pretty terrifying because you don't know what you're going to do and you don't have a plan and everything's just, you keep doing the same shit you've always done, you're going to get the same results and you got no plan for anything to be different. And then so just stayed with that terrifying concept for a while and then it dissipated. So that's what I got.
So what have you found anything has shifted as you've allowed yourself just to sit with it?
Quit fucking talking about it and just sit. Just, quit using words and thoughts. Every time I found the thoughts, I just let go of the thoughts.
Okay.
Just more being instead of thinking.
Okay.
Mm.
And have you noticed any shift in yourself as you progress with that? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, it dissipated. It's nice not to be in fear at the end of a meditation.
I wouldn't know. Thanks for the encouragement.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. Good job.
Bart, you said something at the beginning. I don't know if you said it or if you were reading it. But what I got from it was that people who are angry and complaining get more attention than people who are happy.
Yep. No doubt about it.
It also made me think about the poem that you wrote, or you read, excuse me. It might have been last week or the week before, about happiness. There's a line in the poem that says that, I don't remember exactly what the line says, but essentially the meaning behind it is that when you're angry, you got something to hold on to,
Right.
like ticket stubs or change, I think is the line. But happiness just,
It can't be contained.
I found that very interesting in light of some of the things that you and I have talked about before.
Right. Well, one of the most fascinating things to me, the more I study neuroscience, is the less personally I take my brain, and the more curious it becomes as a defense mechanism, and it's elegant. I bow to my defense mechanisms. If I hadn't had them, I would be emotional and spiritual mush. But identifying with them just created a tremendous amount of confusion and an inability to put down the defenses when it was safe. Most of us are as Trungpa said, he said, you're incapable of having any thought that isn't automatically oriented towards protecting yourself.
If you dive down deep enough with it.
Yeah, if you really go down, what at
Does
root is this thought about? What is its purpose? So as we're beginning to look at that process unfold, as Matthew said, I begin to see this thought triggers this emotion triggers this thought, that triggers this emotion.
Judgment.
And you get into this whole chain of constriction, increasing constriction as it unfolds. And then you begin to say, is this leading me towards peace? Is this leading me towards a deeper understanding of myself? Is this everything that's happening. That's one of my favorite things is what else is happening? What else is happening? Because you'll notice that you're focusing on one speck of reality, and I'm ignoring the sunlight that's out there. I'm ignoring the people that are around me and what they bring. I'm ignoring pleasurable sensations in my body, all of which are probably more real than the thing that I'm entertaining in my head. So begin to play with this when you go outside and notice what happens when you leave and you get up in your head and you start thinking about what have I got to do or who do I need to talk to and all that kind of stuff. Look at what you lose and then look at what gets revealed again when you pop your head out of your ass and go, whoa, there's the trees, there's a bird singing, here's all this stuff that I have to actively ignore to create this constricted reality. But it's so difficult, partly because of the thing that Matthew was talking about. We fear freedom. We say we want it. No, we don't. We keep running back to the familiar thoughts, the familiar constrictions. So that's known. I know how to operate and negotiate in this world. But put me out in that spaciousness and I don't know the next step. What's the next step? There isn't any fucking next step. That's a made up concept. There's no right step. There's just the step, the next step you're taking. Is it right or wrong? It's neither one. It's just the next step. Is that making any sense? It's a whole totally different way of proceeding in life. Or another way of saying it is notice the constriction when you think about what's the right thing to do.
God, if I knew the right thing to do, boy, my whole life would be different. I had rather up and down and exhausting week. And to no great surprise, I ended up being sick. And so thank you. This very good this morning. I'm doing very little today. And so just trying to be nice to myself, which is not my first thought ever. So thank you for this. I really started the day off
Good.
in the right direction.
Well, you know, and you know, let me just use an example that comes to me. When we took my daughter Samantha down to see the Gulf Coast for the first time, and it was around sunset, and it was down in Gulf Shores, and she goes running out to the edge, and she sees the waves, and she opens up her arms and goes, "Ah!" I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but I know it was the most authentic response that I've ever seen. And another time, my son Michael, he'd been cooped up all winter in Chicago, and we took him up to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. He's standing on the banks of Lake Geneva in this field with nothing but sunlight. And we've got a picture of him. He just opened up his arms into the sunlight and laid his head back and just let himself glory in the warmth of that light. These are moments that when we see them, we're touched profoundly because it awakens the awe in us that they are seeing to the wow. They really are. And the wow never comes from doing the right thing. Never. It comes from doing the spontaneous thing in the moment. It comes from the environment. In that case, it was the environment that just ripped them open. And instead of constricting in fear, they softened and let it thrill through them. Tommy?
In my meditation, I tried to get in touch with things that irritate me. or make me angry. I mean, that was kind of what you were inviting us to. And what I came up with is, in particular, thinking over the years, is people who are just complainers without being, offering any solutions, who just want to complain, and everything is wrong and wrong. And then thinking about, why is it that really irritates me? Well, why it is, it's fairly obvious. It's because I can't fix it.
Right.
What irritates me is that I can't fix it.
Yeah. No control.
You're not God, Tommy?
I can't fix it.
Oh, I had no idea, dude.
Yeah.
So it all comes back down to inside yourself.
Yeah. And those hidden expectations, why does it make you angry that you can't fix it? Well, then go deeper with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I find is at the root of it is a profound compassion. Okay. That I really would love to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
There's part of me as a child that thought I should be able to fix it. Okay. That's what I call narcissistic grandiosity. That, and it's a naive narcissism. It's not an insidious narcissism. It's just a kind of sense of what Carl Jung called ego inflation. Ego inflation is when the ego thinks that it's God. And compassion puts us in that place, doesn't it? When you see people in pain, don't you wish
you want to fix it?
Had the capacity to stop the suffering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm angry not because I want to control the world for my own ends, but still the ego gets caught up in it and doesn't realize that it can't do that. And then that's where we find compassion for each other. It's not just you feeling that way, Tommy. I feel that way every fucking day at the roll. It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Bart, I wanted to thank you for reading that poem, because it's the answer to a question that I asked in a poem that I wrote many years ago. And it's this idea of fragment versus facet. Okay. And the poem I wrote was about masks. And it goes like this: sculpted in familiar contour, life controlled and so secure, it saves emotions from exploding. Hidden for repair, I keep reloading. Worn in jest or in subtle tact, it releases lies, it blocks, react. We move around in our autonomy, encased so willingly in our anatomy. When in despair, we try removal, but it's secured by others' approval. Shatter, tear, and smash we may, but we cannot remove the face from clay. I scream from form to be set free, but which is mask and which is me? And the answer you gave me is yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That was great, Drew. Wow.
Yeah, please send that to me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll work.
I wanted to try to quickly share a moment of groundlessness that can happen to any of us anytime, and that we need to learn to deal with. Last week, we got a call from someone who claimed to be from Xfinity. And the long and short of it is, with his very heavy Indian accent, he told us that our router had been attacked by numerous foreign IP addresses. And oh, it gets really good. And that an international syndicate based in Laos, Nigeria, had hacked into Barry's social security number and name and everything, and that they have been uploading thousands of pornographic videos to the dark web in Barry's name. Uh, so, for a moment there, I thought, wow, this would make a great movie. I wonder, who should we get to play me? And then I thought, no, that's not a good idea. And then, and then this guy said that he was filing a report on our behalf with the Federal Trade Commission because this was a case of identity theft.
Yeah.
So a guy from the FTC called with the same Indian accent and told us that using Barry's name and social security number, this international crime syndicate, had opened an account at Wells Fargo in Barry's name with $470,000 in it.
Wow.
So my first thought was, cool, how do we get that?
Yeah.
And then I remembered that, no, this is not a good idea. But there were a number of things that these guys said that were somewhat believable. But my point is that I have been feeling totally groundless. I have felt like danger lurks at every corner. And I'm sure everybody here has gotten scams and hoaxes and attempts to steal something from you, cybercrime.
Shame.
And I just thought, boy, this is such an example of groundlessness and how to cope with this in meditate, because Tom, you can't control this, right? We did nothing. We didn't click on anything. We didn't, this guy just said that these foreign IPs had hacked into our internet router. And so there's nothing how do you defend against that? And that is such an infuriating example of groundlessness, feeling groundless, being victim of a crime. And so in meditation, it's really an exercise in letting go of that control and accepting that you can't you can't prevent these people from doing what they're doing. Apparently, it's a very big business now. It's such a big business. It's so lucrative that they actually rent office suites in big office buildings with fake names and all of that. So if anybody calls you from Xfinity and tells you that an international crime syndicate has hacked into your router,
Let me just put one point on it before we close, all right? What you're describing is trauma, okay? What makes trauma trauma? All right, and it's because it puts us into groundlessness immediately. When you have a car wreck, when someone dies, when you get diagnosed with an illness, that's all trauma. It's like my sense of reality is supposed to be going this way. All of a sudden, someone slices in something that I never dreamed would be a part of that reality. So if we are not on top of what's happening, that will become a permanent part of your amygdala. That's what PTSD is. And that's what your brain getting hijacked. It's just like malware. It's no different from what you're talking about. It's plugging in now. Instead of conducting my business in the way I would like to conduct it, I'm conducting it in reference to this trauma that just happened. Now, the purpose of needing safety is the quicker I can get my brain reoriented to, I am safe right now. That's why we spend so much time on first chakra over and over again during your week. Right now, I am safe. Right now, I am protected. Right now, I am being nourished by life, supported by life. That's absolutely essential to creating an umbrella of safety. And this is a way of bringing connection. And in my therapy sessions, I knew whatever happened in my week, when I brought it to Sydney, she would make it safe, okay? So that I could feel it again. And when we do that stuff, we're literally rewiring our brain not to give so much attention to the trauma. Because yes, it's there, and yes, it's a part of everyday life, but it doesn't have to become permanent, okay? And that's out of our experience, because up until you learn the control, the trauma is permanent. And that's one of the reasons we try to be so careful not to experience trauma, because I don't know how to let go of it. Does that make any sense to you? It just keeps hardwiring to be afraid of until I'm totally surrounded by things that I'm avoiding. But once you say, oh yeah, I've lived through that, okay? If that happened, I can survive that. I know the road back to openness. I know the road back to connection. I know the road back to joy. And that's why I say to most of my abuse survivors, you're far stronger than you think you are. Yes, you feel very vulnerable, but the reality is that you've survived things that would have turned many people into jello, and you're still standing. That's what we don't want to look at. I don't like being able to survive it, but I can. So I ain't scared. It's like, okay, so another trauma. I had a motorcycle wreck. They told me I'd never walk again. I've run marathons. I've been a power lifter, okay? And nobody knows what you're capable of after something is done. It's what's your intention? How much do you focus on your desire to live fully? Don't focus on the fucking fear and what might happen. Focus on your resiliency. Focus on the strength of your spirit. Focus on the power of the love and the joy that's being expressed through you, and let that carry you back out into engagement instead of hiding in your room afraid that you might trip and make a fool out of yourself, you know? Go out and trip intentionally and see. Nobody gives a shit, you know? So that's the first part, is really beginning to see that, yeah, I'm closed up, and that I can open, and I can control that mechanism. I can't control the closing, that's automatic, but I can control the opening. Can choose to open, can choose to soften again and again and again. Why? Because this is so much more joyful, it's so much more meaningful, so richer, so much fuller. And the shit's gonna happen anyway. So do you want to spend it cowering, or do you want to spend it living until it hits? That's where I choose to live, and invite y'all to join me. So, Omi,
We've had 3 snorts and an ear flap.
and ear flap. This is
And
totally
it's
new behavior.
totally-
Every time we drop him off, we get a different dog.
He's new and different. He's signaling meditation's over. I'm done with this.
Right.
Yeah, Skippy got down off the sofa. He's like, okay, we're finished, right? It's time.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Deep
See,
breath in.
I am
What?
so sorry, Kat.
Oh, I know.
But dogs are supposed to look like their owners, and
Oh,
no,
no. Precious thing. I know.
It's a joyful look. That's what it is.
yeah, look at that face.
That's
I'm
a lucky dog. Oh,
happy
that dog is
I'm
smiling
happy.
right
I
now.
know, happy dog.
All right, deep
Here.
breath in.
Oh.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Love you more.
Oh, I doubt that.
We can fight
Have a-
about it later.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See you all.